what we want to look at, as I mentioned, is whether or not Isaiah 53 is clear. In other words, when reading chapter 53 of Isaiah, does it clearly tell you that the Messiah is coming to die for the sins of the world? So I want to take you to a chapter in the New Testament. And I want to give you a little bit of a background over here. In chapter 16 of Matthew, Jesus asks his followers, "Who do people say I am?" And they give different answers. And then he turns to them and he says, "Who do you say I am?" And Simon Peter turns to him and answers, "You are the Christ." In other words, you are the Mashiach. Now one has to ask himself, where did Peter get a concept of Mashiach? Not from the radio, not from the television, but from the Bible. So obviously, he has probably read up about the Messiah. He learned it in the synagogues, or wherever he picked up this information, he picked up that there's a concept of the Messiah based on the Bible, and based on that information, he identifies Jesus as the Messiah. And Jesus says, "Very good, well done, bravo." Then, in the very same chapter, a few verses later, it reads as follows. Matthew chapter 16, verse 21. "From that time, Jesus began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things from the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed, and be raised again on the third day." Then Peter says, "Praise be the Lord, you must be the suffering servant of Isaiah 53. Right? That's what Peter says. No, that's not what Peter says. But you would think that should be his reaction, because again, according to the Christians, Isaiah 53 is a central teaching from the Bible about the Messiah. So if it was that central, Peter would have known that Isaiah 53 is talking about the suffering of the Messiah. However, what does Peter answer in verse 22? Then Peter took him and began to rebuke him, saying, "God be gracious to you, Lord. This shall never be to you." In other words, as far as he's concerned, the Messiah is not supposed to die. And we see something similar to this in Mark chapter 9, verses 31 through 32, where Jesus talks to his disciples and tells them about these things that are supposed to happen, that he's supposed to be killed, and they don't understand what he's talking about, but they were afraid to ask. What do I say? I would say they didn't understand because there was no such concept, and therefore they never knew about it.